everybody. Welcome to MHTV. We're really pleased to have you with us tonight. We've got a very interesting topic to discuss. We're going to be talking about so-called honour-based violence, which is something which is very key for us to understand in terms of health and well-being. Before we introduce our fantastic guest, who's very kindly given up his time and expertise to talk with us, can we just go to Vanessa to show us how we can join in?
Hi everyone, just had a slight technical problem there with my camera going back on, but the show goes on. We manage it, don't we, Nicky?
Always.
Yeah. So tonight I'm going to be covering social media. We're talking about honour-based violence. It's really important that you join in the conversation. You can join in either on Twitter or X, as it's now called, just by following the hashtag MHTV. If you put the hashtag in, it should show you the tweets that are featured in tonight's conversation. You can always add your comments there, which we'd love you to do, and we'll feed them into the conversation. If you're on Facebook, then go to the Unite MHNA Facebook page, and you should see the live stream pop up there. You should be able to join it live and also add any comments. And again, you know, we'd love you to join the conversation, add your comments, thoughts, questions, and we'll feed those into tonight. So I'll hand you back over to Nicky.
Oh, it's really good to have you with us today, Sadiq. So before I ask you to introduce yourself, I just want to remind you, everybody, that if you are following on Twitter, you'll be able to see some of the really important, valuable research that Sadiq has been doing. We'll tweet that out as we go. So do be aware we'll be sharing those resources with you as we go. Sadiq, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Dr. Sadiq Bhanbhro. I'm a senior research fellow at Sheffield Hallam University, and I've been working in Sheffield Hallam Universities over a decade. And my interest in research is about inequalities, health inequalities, and mainly anything to do with gender. So especially the gender-based violence, and in the gender-based violence, my expertise and my research focus is on honor-based abuse or honor crimes. So, and I did my PhD on this topic, and my PhD project was a transnational study. It was in UK and Pakistan. I originally from my country of origin is Pakistan. And I did some projects on this issue of honor-based abuse or honor-based violence in Pakistan and UK. I have published literature which you already mentioned. You will be sharing. I did TED talk, the TEDx talk on this issue. So over 12 years, I've been working on this issue, and my approach is, we'll talk about how I approach this issue from the honor-based abuse. So yeah, I live in Sheffield, and I'm here, an academic.
Yeah, fantastic. So when we're talking about so-called honor-based violence, tell me a little bit about what it is and what language we're using, and what's the best way of talking about this in a way that's helpful.
Yeah. So if we talk about honor-based violence, we need to talk about first to briefly about the term honor. So then we link it up. So honor is, as we know, it's a universal concept, and it's a historical concept. It's nothing new about it. And this notion, if in general terms, honor is used as it has positive meanings. So we give honor degrees, king's honors list, our queen's honors list, all the projects we give honor to each other, people when they talk honor. So mainly it's honor. And if we, so as I said, it's a universal concept. It's mainly, but we need to, it's understanding its meaning, also values, and how it is applied to in different societies or cultures it's different from culture to culture, region to region, even time period to time period. So it's we have to keep in mind honor is a universal, but its meaning is different, and everything is different. So therefore, we can't find a single definition of honor. So it's very contextualized, it's specific in culture. But when we put honor in combined with violence or crime or then it becomes really controversial and it's contentious. Some people say we should use honor-based abuse,
Mm.
or honor-based violence, or honor killings.
Mm.
But some authors say no, it is making this crime as honorable, so we
Mm.
should be using it.
Mm.
So it's still going on, but
Mm.
mainly in here in UK,
Mm.
honor-based abuse is been used widely,
Mm.
and we will talk about it, honor-based abuse in more detail.
Mm.
So, and something about honor before
Mm.
combining with honor.
Mm.
So this honor has one in context of violence or honor-based violence. One definition is very popularly used, mainly people use, and very simple definition. It's by British anthropologist Julian Pitt-Rivers. So
Mhm.
he said honor is person's value in his own and others' eyes. So that's the honor in simple terms, and this is
Yeah.
very widely used. So in this definition of honor, there are two key important. One is you honor in one's own eyes.
Mm.
That's for everybody. But the honor in eyes of others is the important bit in the context of when we are analyzing or when we are understanding the honor-based abuse, then we have to look at that other side. Who are these others? Which value you are a person? So these others are social groups, communities. Can be a community, it can be a social
Yeah.
group, it can be a caste group, it can
Mm.
be a kinship group, it can be a family, it can be a
Mm.
joint family.
Mm.
That important others who see or who judge your
Yeah.
value, that's important in
Mm.
honor-based abuse. So
Mm.
when people are something is hurt for them, then it's hurt not in their own eyes when
Mm.
they go for this type of violence, and so it's
Mm.
hurt in other people's eyes.
Mm.
So that
Mm.
value bit is important. So
Mm.
when then so if we say it mainly depends on the recognition and validation from the other group members. So another thing we keep in mind that others, when we say others who validate your honor, those are not others. If you are living in Sheffield or living in UK, any neighborhood, so next door neighbor can't be your other. It
Mm.
would be those people who know you, who are related somehow to you,
Mm. To share that value base, I guess.
value based. So, and then other peoples who are the social group, maybe they live in some other country,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
your honor matters to them. What you
Mm.
decide matters to them. They don't,
Yeah.
it's not necessary. Distance doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
even, these days, this distance doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
that's
But how
why
we connected, isn't it? I guess not about
how
whether
we
it's the person
value them.
next door. It's
So
about how you share that identity and how that identity as a group can be harmed in everyone's eyes. Mm.
everyone's side, and they were thinking about anything they can do. They were thinking about those others. What
Mm.
would they think about me?
Yeah.
So it would be that's the honor, and so it's actually honor operates in a very tight knit group, a knit social group. It's not
Yeah.
cannot be in context of honor-based violence. It cannot be applied to a whole culture or whole
Mm.
nation
Mm.
or some large tribe, but it's a
Mm.
very tightly knit group
Yeah.
where there is a honor operates in this.
Mm.
So if somebody's honor is harmed or damaged by family member, and in particular family member would be a female family member.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and that can be with the small thing to big thing. So it
Mm.
can be having a boyfriend,
Mm.
or talking to somebody else on phone these
Mm.
days, or just choosing your own partner to get married. So
Yeah.
there are many reasons could be that
Mm.
can hurt that family's honor.
Mm.
And then on the best of that violation, which they think the violation of their family honor, If they do abuse or commit any crime, abuse or violence, or in some cases murder, that's called honor crime or honor-based abuse. So it has very different types of honor-based violence and honor-based abuse. I can give you some examples. For example, forced marriage is honor-based violence or honor-based abuse. Female genital mutilation, honor killings, and also assault, kidnapping, domestic violence, economic abuse. Long list of honor abuse. That's why honor-based abuse is a kind of an umbrella term. And it can be sometimes people call it honor-based abuse. As I said, in UK, in some countries, it's honor-based violence is and in some countries where honor killings are very prevalent, so they're called as honor killings mainly, and other form of honor abuse are not recorded or documented officially, so only honor killings. So these are different terminologies used, but it is contentious. Some people say we should say it honor, we should not say honor.
So you've covered like so many points I want to pick up on there, just so many. Yeah, my head's exploding. So I think the points you made, they're very interesting. I think they'd be particularly useful for people listening, is this idea that it has to exist within a small, tight-knit group, because you have to share a specific set of values to the point at which you break social norms, because it's not socially normal for anybody to hurt somebody. So it has to be something which is so specifically important. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a real gender issue here with the way that women are seen in many cultures, and not, I would say, minority cultures. I would say in every culture, because throughout time and history, women have been seen as properties or extensions of male power. And that's something that, whilst we in some ways think it's very far away, it's actually very present. People do make all kinds of statements about women that are clearly to do with thinking of women as property. And even things like father-daughter dances, things like that, the way that marriage ceremonies are, it's absolutely so embedded in our culture, we don't see it. And it's very easy, I think, with something as extreme and as painful and shocking as honor-based violence is, to assume it's a problem that exists everywhere else and not in all societies. And I wonder if there's something that you would...
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned about women as a property, so I argue based on my research that honor is just like a currency, and women are banknotes, just like banknotes. So banknotes it has a value which we don't see. Banknotes are just paper, but it's given value to them by we can't see some narratives, some financial institutions, they give value. These are the £5 notes, or this is £10 value. Similarly, women's are the reservoirs of male honor, which is mainly people say community, family honor. At roots, it's the male honor, which lies with women. So, and then that's why when a woman is, there are certain, value-based, as I said, there are certain cultures or communities or social groups, and their operation, honor operates in a very tightly knit group, where people know each other, where people's decisions making matters to each other. And they have very particular characteristics on those groups. And so those define and decide those honor values and where they apply. So for example, if I give you example, when a father from such social group suspect that his daughter has a boyfriend, so it will harm his family reputation in his social group. So maybe it doesn't matter for him that much, but if it is knowledge of others in the social groups, that will matter for him. So in this scenario, the family social group is not its neighbors or people who know them, but the people and the families who are related to them. So who matters to them. So also their opinion will matter to them when they make choices and decisions. So now, if this person suspects and it's not allowed, it is dishonorable to having a boyfriend by a family member, then it's the pressure from the group,
wider
community.
community.
He has to take some action. So in action depends on, again, in the different context. So maybe if it's living in UK, there are tight laws, tougher laws, and there are consequences. So maybe small or something to do just to get away with it, or try to do kind of a harm in a way that he can just go to jail and come back, something like that, or take the girl to his own country, or maybe somewhere to get married, or so it depends on the context, what type of, it could be lenient to some simple punishment to the.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because this is almost on one level, it's not about what the woman or the girl has done at all. It's about how the man's masculinity is perceived. Is he in control of his family? Does his law, what he says goes? And if his authority is challenged in some way by someone's behavior, that calls into question the way that he's valued by people who he cares about. And I wonder as well if in a world where marginalized groups can experience racial abuse, economic stressors, that the way that you're seen inside your group is 10 times more important. If you're facing disrespect and marginalization outside that group, it almost pushes you in together to value each other's opinion to this extremely high point. Does that make sense?
Yes, so it's actually this honor. I mean, since inception of patriarchy, we don't know when it was invented.
Yeah.
But since patriarchy, the values or concepts like honor, loyalty, all these things were invented along with, because they function like a tools to control. And controlling women and girls in a family, in a society, and etc. That's why when I started, I said, so what is the trend? Because whenever these type of violence, given these names, when people hear about it in media or in newspapers, so people link it with certain cultures and certain communities without knowing that actually honor is a universal thing people been doing, but sometimes we don't look for those things. If there's a murder happen in a, let's suppose, a white family, and we don't go into those type of details, because we maybe say is a gender-based violence or killing, femicide, something like that, but we don't go into honor because it has been the way framed in a way, so it connect, it's pushed to some certain cultures and communities. Even UN, United Nations, has identified more than 25 countries on their record where honor based violence or honor killings occur. So they have,
and we don't frame it when it's a white family that way, but if it's a couple who've recently divorced and the husband, it's a very common thing. We lose 2 women a week, don't we, to death by partners and ex-partners, because their control over that person has changed, and it's something we just don't conceptualize it the same way, but there is huge amounts of similarity. So that idea about how we're framing it probably isn't helping either. Can I ask a question just before we move on?
Yeah.
Based violence ever occur to a son in a household? Because we say that obviously daughters and wives particularly held to account here. Can it happen to?
So honor-based violence can be with men, boys, lesbian, gays, bisexuals, transgender people, but more likely to be a woman and girl.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
I mean, even if I could say more than 90% happen with the women and girls.
Yeah.
So, but it can affect men as well. Men are also killed. Boys are also killed. Are abused in the name of honor. But it's mainly women and girls.
And it's interesting as well, because you rightly say as well, every now and again it splashes across the paper and you get a lot of uninformed comment on it. But the reason it's you point out that it thrives in secrecy and how we frame it is very important. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I mean, it's about secrecy is uh, so because sometime if people notice that something is happening, so rather than doing suddenly or something, so they need to plan, they need to secretly do something. So if a father knows that her daughter is having an affair,
Yeah.
or a husband knows in that particular social group where honor value is so highly fiercely protected.
Mhm.
So in that group, if a father knows that her daughter is having an affair,
Mm.
so it he will try to manage it in a secretly, so to how to not react in a way that uh, uh, that could be harmful for him as well. He could go jail. He could
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
some. So that's why in secretly talking to, because it's not an individual act. When it comes to the family, it involves all family male members and
Yeah.
sometimes women as well. So because honor values are so strongly embedded in the particular social groups that women took part, and
Well, it
there is
affects the stock of
evidence.
the whole family, doesn't it? Of the whole
Yes.
group. Yeah.
So they decide secretly what to do about it, about the action, how we are going to do about it. If it is the through gossip or some other way, it's known in their social group about anything, then they might have rush and do something to restore the honor.
Yeah.
But if it is not in the knowledge, our people try to do secretly.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
for
So that's the
example,
difference, I suppose, between being seen to make retribution. So I've been dishonored in this way, and this is what I've done about it, or by knowing that there's a problem and trying to fix it before everyone finds out.
yes, everyone finds out, those who secretly do something around it. Okay, got married. I mean, women were married by force without her
Yeah.
choice, anything
Yeah.
else
Mm.
secretly done.
Mm.
Or maybe secretly taken out of school or university. So don't go to
Yeah.
school, don't,
Mm.
I mean, so there are restrictions or maybe stalking is done. I mean,
Mm.
I did some work on that, how they stalk. If they know, then they keep somebody uh, uh, can be kind of spying on the particular
Yeah.
person and seeing movements and here and there, what's happening, what are
Mm.
they, or maybe they have a control on their mobile phone to take mobile phone, restrict
Yeah.
all those things. So
Mm.
it's a, and the important thing in this secrecy is about is gossip.
Yeah.
Gossip play a very important role in honor-based abuse.
Mm.
And those there are studies and it has been conducted in different cultures, and the gossip has been like one of the key area in that in honor-based abuse. So, for example, people see. Um, make gossip or rumor about anything. I mean, without, if they have any um, conflict or dispute, so they can create just gossip about
So the
somebody
suspicion can be enough.
in
It
a
doesn't even have to be
suspicion.
real.
Yeah, no,
If
it's
it's a
not real.
perception,
No, yeah,
if it's a
perception they
perception, you can still
create.
be at risk. Mm.
Yeah. So from that, it can take a turn because in these times, nobody investigate. Nobody wants to know the truth. What is truth?
Mm.
Whether it happens. So they
Yeah.
just spread the rumor, and it fast, quick. I mean, it spread
Yeah.
very quickly within this. As I said,
No one
that
ever
is one
spreads
of
good
the
news, do they?
yes.
Yeah.
So then people are pressurized to take
Mm.
action
Mm.
because when it becomes a news, and as we know, I mean, the meme theory suggests that the gossips are like living things.
Mm.
They seek to reproduce using human as their hosts. So once the gossip is there, it's like a virus.
It's
It
frightening.
uses a
Mm.
human
Mm.
to spread, reproduce,
Yeah.
and people aid up things in it.
Yeah.
And when some harm is done, then people may realize about it. So
Yeah. It's dangerous.
secrecy, gossip, and many cases people also decide on their one of the characteristics of those social groups is um, uh, because they think we need to decide it how we are going to. I mean, sometimes they settle matter within the group. They don't go out because if one family is suffering from this type of issue, so it would be that next family could be, it can be for the next family. So
Just say
what they
something
do,
about things like moral judgment and actually being able to almost leverage your own power by knowing things about other people, or being able to make up stories about other people. That gives you power because it's like your morality is higher. And then you've also got that fear of moral contagion, haven't you? If this has happened to so-and-so's daughter, it can happen to ours. And you almost have like panic, I guess, happening.
yes. So same as you mentioned about sometime these groups are also used as a honor or attached to their identity. So that's a
Yeah,
part.
for
Oh,
sure.
our women are well protected. They don't go out. They don't get married outside, or they don't do anything because they are our honor and they are in the and they feel proud about it. That this is our. So yes, and because interests are same. So if those groups then decide the rules of the game, how
Yeah,
we are going to play, where
that's
we are,
really
in what
difficult.
context we are. As you might know, there are many women who were born or brought up in UK, but they were taken out from here to their countries of origin and they were killed. They were married there, they never returned back, and still Home Office is looking something. So these uh,
But they disappeared
sometimes,
citizens. It's a really
yes,
serious issue. It's not like you're going home. If you've never been there, it's not your home. So you're putting so many really interesting things when we're talking as well about mental health impacts. You've covered things like, trying to maintain your safety in an area where people who you don't know could be talking about you, creating a reality about you that's not even true. Your family might not want to hurt you, but might be in a position where they feel they have to maintain control. So you're very powerless. As you say, you're living in a game and you're not making the rules. And the consequences can be stalking, having your liberty restricted, having your phone, your ability to go to college or education taken away from you. It could be being kidnapped, forcibly married. It could be being killed. So we're talking about a huge range of outcomes. What does that do to people's sort of mental well-being?
so it has very negative consequences, not
Mm,
for only who are the victims of honor-based abuse. So if
mm,
there are victims, for example, they are put in a room and their mobility restricted, they don't want to go and meet friends. These things happens quickly. So when they notice something, they think it can bring shame or honor to the family, and then they take actions. So if the girl is in college or in a university, she would be locked up, phones will be removed, she won't be allowed to meet with anybody else, and she has everything. So what will happen then to her? She would be depressed,
mm,
anxiety. So it's a directly
mm,
mental well-being of the person victim is already deteriorating. So she will
mm,
be suffering from all these things.
mm.
But not only that, but if she has other sisters, they would be witnessing this, what is happening. So
Yeah.
their anxiety level also decrease. So mental health
Mm,
issues for them as well happen.
yeah, sure.
And as I said, so many things, there are many types. So if there are honor-based abuse, they use different types of violence. So one is, for example, economic abuse is also being done because of honor. So economically, so snatching the cars, snatching the bank details and everything. So and she has no money to do anything,
Mm,
no go ever. So if she's scared, she is depressed. So there is a problem to for her well-being, not mental and safety, and she can't have access to help. She would be difficult to access. It happened during the COVID-19 lockdown. Many women, girls, they were locked because of these things, issues. And then after COVID-19, we know some organization, they did research. Uh, they came out for the help, because before they were not able to get help, and their mental health was really, really affected by it.
I think as well with COVID, when we had lockdowns, it just almost turned little family community groups in on themselves as well. And so if people did need to get away from a situation, they couldn't because they had to stay in their houses. So we had a lot more, we had a big spike generally, didn't we, in domestic violence. And I would imagine that those tensions were not improved by everyone being kept sort of bottled up. So we've talked about kind of the understanding of it and how we can better understand this problem and how we can talk about it in a way that's helpful and not blaming. Because it's very easy, isn't it, just to throw our hands up and then blame a group and then just walk away from the problem and almost see it as their problem and not an issue that affects humans. So what can people do? What are the ways forward? What have you found would be
Yeah, I
helpful?
mean, one thing is about I'm a researcher, so first thing I want to talk about the research, because there is not much primary data or first-hand information available there. So 99% perpetrators of honor-based abuse or any type of honor-based abuse are men.
Yeah.
And there are not many studies on men to understand what is happening, what makes them to kill their own flesh,
I'd
and
loved. Yeah. Yeah.
what it is there, which makes them to beat or to force, what it
Yeah.
is there.
That's
So,
so interesting. Now
so,
you put it that way, it makes perfect sense that that piece of information is completely missing.
so it's like
Mm,
honor is an imaginary idea. It's an
yeah.
abstract idea,
Mm,
nothing tangible about it. But
yeah.
why it is so powerful,
Mm,
which makes people, which
mm,
makes a man to kill,
mm.
murder his daughter, a
A
wife,
completely ordinary, pleasant guy
honor
whose
present, no
daughters
criminal
loved
history,
his family suddenly does
no
this. So
criminal
what is it?
history, no mental health issue, nothing, no problem. Out
Mm,
of blue,
mm,
everybody's on the board and they take this action. So
yeah,
something is there. We need to
yeah,
understand that. And
yeah.
from them, there are studies, there is research about the survivors of the honor-based abuse, and which is
Mm,
very important to know
yeah,
their perspective, to how to shelter them, how to protect
yeah,
them
yeah.
from harm, which is very important. But we need to understand about that societal perspective and aspect of it, that what is there which makes them people to do this. So
That's a really
research
interesting
needs to
point.
be done, because mainly you would see a lot of information is secondary information. People don't go, and people have assumed, many researchers also have assumed that, oh, it's a very sensitive topic. People might not talk about it. It's
Mm,
something like that. But
mm,
being a researcher, you have to take this risk. You have to go and talk to, and to go and take on board these people to what is
mm,
happening. So
mm,
that's a very important aspect to learn.
mm,
And the second thing is about uh, uh, working with the communities and social groups where you see there is a prevalence of this type of honor, working with them to
mm,
bringing change from within.
mm,
So, like shelter houses for the victims or survivors is important. Training police about this type of issue is
mm,
important.
mm,
Aware them, this is important. Awareing health professionals working with different communities, working with the communities is important.
mm,
Cultural competency or awareness type of things, these are very important. Uh, these are important, necessary,
mm,
but not sufficient to bring the change at a bigger
mm,
level. So
mm,
what would bring the change at a bigger level is about changing the narrative,
mm,
changing the honor narrative. What is narrative? People holding that narrative and
mm.
that story, we need to work with them to change it.
Yeah.
So we have historical examples. For example, I can give two key pertinent example. One is the foot binding in China.
Yeah.
So long time ago, there was a foot binding, and again, it was one of the reason behind foot binding in China was honor, family honor. beauty and all those aesthetics and things like that.
Mm.
So honor was there. So there was a lot of condemnation from the Western world. There was decrees from the king that people empire that people shouldn't do this and everything, but it didn't change. Not much effect. But when people came together, local people, they
Yeah.
were they called pledged groups, and they made this pledge that if I will not bind feet of my child, my
Daughter.
girl,
Mm.
and I will not marry my son to the a girl who will be or
Of
feet
bound
will be
feet.
bound feet. So and they pledge group everybody in the community, and they made a pledge, and there are thousands or hundreds of pledge groups prop up in China,
Mm.
and the practice vanished.
Yeah, that's a really good
Suddenly,
example. Yeah.
our wife immolation in India, in empire, a lot of empire people, they were Western world or empire, they did
Yeah.
many things, but it was not going.
Mm.
One Rajmohan Rai,
Mm.
from within the group, they said, "Look, this is what we are doing. It's a barbaric, all those
Mm.
things," and
Mm.
then change came.
Mm.
So similarly, like I think what is needed is to changing the narrative and working with those social groups or communities where this occur, and
Mm.
working from bottom to up rather
Yeah.
than telling them that, okay, this is
Yeah.
wrong, don't do this. It is not working. So we
Mm.
need to go and work from the bottom to top, and it can bring change.
Mm.
It can. And the key thing here in the context of UK, because there are people of different generation, so we
Yeah.
need to take intergenerational approach. So first generation people might hold very uh, strong about the ideas of honor and their identity and people.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
does those and the narratives are those does those story do those stories reflect the first second generation people, their wishes and their ideas, their ideology?
Mm.
These are the questions need to be understood. So how
Mm.
to bring this that their stories, their views, their wishes are reflected in those stories, those
Mm.
narratives
Mm.
of then they can take this as a movement like okay, we need to change about honor.
Mm.
Why
Mm.
can't be my girl is dancing or learning ballet can't be honor for me rather than say it's a
Mm.
dishonor for me.
Mm. Yeah, you make some really interesting points, and as well, a lot of the ideas that we're sort of exploring and considering, they're very intangible, aren't they? So, what makes a man masculine, or what does it mean to have power in a family, to be a good father, be a good brother, to have as well, a lot of the kind of culture and heritage that people have is precious and special and nurturing and life enhancing. So how do you take out the kind of less savory aspects, the aspects that are causing pain, and actually leave the rest intact? So it's actually it can only be done by those populations, can't it? When you rethink what does it mean to be you and to have your cultural values. It's really interesting,
Yes, I mean
challenging. Good
some
luck researching that.
there are some authors who work in these type of areas, and they
Mm.
take very radical approach. They say, oh, these people who do the honor-based abuse or honor-based violence are lost cause. They can't be changed. Their culture should be changed, and culture is called honor culture, this culture, that
Mm.
culture. They
Mm.
think culture is like a very fixed thing. It
Yeah,
can't be changed.
yeah.
It's now what has happened for some people, culture has replaced the race.
Mm.
So a long time ago, people used to say, if you did something wrong, people used to,
Mm.
oh, it's in your blood,
Mm.
it's your race.
Mm.
Now it's a, oh, it's his or her culture.
Mm.
Some people does wrong.
Mm.
They don't think it's not the individual person did something wrong,
Mm.
but not the whole culture did something wrong. So,
Mm.
and culture is a sensitive issue, and it's
Yeah.
attached to people's identity and personality, sexuality, everything. So it's not easy to just replace the culture. And no culture in the world is based on one or other two notions. Okay,
Yeah.
honor culture, honor-based culture. What does mean honor-based culture? Culture has so many other things, not only honor. Honor may be some one of the norm in the culture. So we
Mm.
have
And you can
to
change
treat
the
it
way honor
equally.
is thought of, can't you? Exactly as you're saying, you can still have a culture which values has values. It just doesn't. They just can't be values that end in someone being killed. Like,
Definitely, we have the examples of dueling here in India and oh, sorry, in England and
yeah,
Europe. What was it? It was based on honor.
mm,
But English culture is intact. There's no dueling, and all those is gone with the legal changes or some other stuff. And people in foot binding is gone, but Chinese culture is there.
yeah,
Sati is gone, is abolished,
mm,
but it's Indian culture is live
yeah,
and thrive. So
yeah,
what is cultures are unique in their own selves. They are culture can't be compared. That culture can't be superior and inferior. Culture are unique in their own sense,
yeah,
but all culture have some harmful practices or harmful norms
yeah.
which can be changed.
Absolutely. That's a really sort of hopeful point for us just to pause. I just looked at the clock and realized we're nearly out of time. I don't even know how that happened. So, Vanessa, I just before we start wrap things up, I wondered if I know it's very late, but I wonder if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah. No, I guess as we're coming to the end, I suppose my thoughts are if people are listening to this and people are either victims of honor-based abuse or concerned about somebody in their
Mm,
community, where would they go?
I mean, there are support available, and there are different organizations. Karma Nirvana is one of the organization here in, I think it's
Yeah.
in England, but it's they help. Savera is another organization. I give some list of the organization. They help IKRWO. There's an organization. Help, and they can also get help with the like other domestic violence. They get help
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
police and NHS, all organizations. But those who are on the side of help, if somebody calls them, they should take it seriously.
Mm. Yeah. I think that's an
So
important message.
it makes a difference of one call. If
Mm.
there is one call and people took the professionals where help was sought, they thought it's some maybe a random call or they didn't pay attention, it
Mm.
might somebody may lose a life. So it
Yeah.
should be taken seriously on first call. There are,
Yeah.
I mean, Banaz Mahmood case might heard. It was a long time ago, first case, which made headlines here about
Mm.
honor killings. And
Mm.
she went to police many times.
Yeah.
And finally, she was killed.
Mm. It's really sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
So it should be taken seriously
mhm.
on the first call.
And I guess that's similar to all domestic abuse cases, isn't it? So the context different, but in terms of thinking about people who work in mental health, the context is the same in the sense of, having that clinical curiosity. If you're concerned about someone, if you're concerned about how they behave in front of, family members, if you're concerned about any indications of abuse, it is about having that clinical curiosity, isn't it, to ask questions. And often clinicians can be scared of that because they're worried about the kind of worms that they open. But I guess it's just understanding that there is help out there. There are organisations that we can turn to for advice as well. And as you say, the police can often be a good source of support and advice, and some of the cultural organisations you've referred to, which we'll try and share as well for people who want to have a look at those later. I've tweeted some of your articles as well that you've shared, so they're available as well on Twitter.
Yeah, really covered some ground tonight. So hopefully this has been a starting place for anyone who's listening to think about how they might want to move forward, and there's certainly the resources are out there, thanks to Sadiq, of ways that you can inform yourself more about this issue. And is there anything you wanted to finish on, Sadiq?
Yeah, what I would like to say about, especially if we want to, when we talked about how to tackle this problem, there is another way of, I mean, there are many ways to do it, but one other way important is especially in the schools. So when schools children should be, or adult children should be, adolescents should be taught communication skills, how to communicate these sensitive topics, sensitive issues. So those things which have a cultural sensitivity involved. So they should be empowered and taught to, their capacity should be built when they go back home. If something like this come up, how to talk about those issues, how to convince family members, or how assertively talk to them, not like in a fight, but how to communicate these things. So this should be, it can make much difference. So I've been working with one school here in Sheffield about understanding of, sixth form children, that what are these issues, first understand what is honor, how it is conceived, and what are different way honor-based abuse, violence, and things. And then when it comes to the family member, how they are going to talk about it. It makes very big difference when they are confident, they go back home. If something arise, they can deal with it and move.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for your time today, and for all the work you've put into something which is going to save people's lives. It's really important work. So taking a moment to thank you for that. Much appreciated.
No problem.
Next week, we've got more research on. We've got Noor Quail back. So if you want to see researchers talking about their work, that's what we've got next week. A big thanks as well to Dave, who's been behind the scenes, keeping the show on the road. He doesn't have any questions, but we'll no doubt hear from him next time. And thanks very much again to.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. And this is an important issue we talked about.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks to everybody, and good night all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye.